Okay. Okay. Just to notify everyone, we are recording this session, and David Moran will be managing this session today.
Morning, everyone. We'll give 1 more minute.
Yeah, we have a couple trying to connect the audio. Kevin and the iPhone is on now. Morning, Kevin.
Morning, Howard. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay.
Morning, Dave. I'll stay on here as long as I can through work.
Understood, sir. All righty, it is 9 o'clock. I know that you guys are busy, so I will not take up any more of your time. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is David Myron. I'm the chief of the division of Amusement Ride Safety and Office Affairs. And today we're going to go over the annual financial report. This is due on this year. We'll kind of go over the due dates and everything of that nature. But this is the big report. We've made a lot of changes this year. It's a brand new report. It's got a lot of things that are exactly the same, some things that are new that should streamline things, but we're going to go over it today. And I just continue to admit people. But for those of you that have questions, please ask them, interrupt me throughout this presentation, because I know that there will be times where somebody else has the exact same question. If you'd rather, there is a chat option, and you can enter a question into the chat, and we will do it that way if you don't want to talk. But other than that, I will share my screen and we will get going. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. Howard, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Sorry, I never hit the share.
Okay. There it is. It's up now. It takes about 8 or 9 seconds.
Okay, perfect. All right. So here we go. So one thing that we wanted to bring to everyone's attention is that there is now a dedicated fairs page. For those of you who do not know, we've been talking about it for a long time, but we just keep talking about it. On the Ohio Department of Agriculture's website, there is, if you go to the Division of Amusement Ride Safety and Fairs, you can find this dedicated page. It has all the information that you need in order to meet all of ODA's requirements. I have the link is here, as well as a giant blue arrow over here that shows you exactly where to press. So on that fairs page, we have a lot of really good information. We have a map of all, these are for obviously for not individuals such as yourself, but well, if you're interested, I suppose, where a location of every of our 94 fairs are, as well as website information. If you click on one of these little drop pins, you can look at the Ohio Fair schedule. You can find the red book on here. The animal health livestock forms can be on here, as well as just generic swine and poultry disease information. And the annual society, the Ag Society annual forms. That's what we're talking about today. If you click on this tab, you will find that information there, as well as if you were if you have been awarded a capital project, we have information on the capital projects on our webpage as well. But let's look at last year. So last year, this is the 2021 record schedule. As you can see, we had a significant number of forms that were required here, 8 with varying dates. It's kind of a rolling schedule. You know, reports due basically once a week or once every other week for a couple weeks. But what does it look like this year? As you guys know, we've reduced the number of reports down from 8 to 5. 3 of them are due on November 1st, which is the annual fair supporter form, the annual the fair fund request form, and the fair date request form. All of those are due on November 1st. We have received about, I'd say about 50%. a little around 50% of the required forms this year. We do have 2 weeks left. So please just send that information over to us as soon as possible. We cannot distribute the fair fund money until all of the requests have been put in. So that's one thing that if you're delayed, not only are you delayed in submitting your form, but you're also impacting everyone else that has already submitted the form. So as soon as you can, please submit those fair fund request forms, fair date request forms, as well as the outstanding fair supporter. All right. So, but we're here today to talk about the 2022 annual financial report. There we go. So what's new? So as we talked about, we included in the annual financial report, the contact sheet, the junior fair affidavit, and the junior fair report into this report. You do not have to submit them separately. They are included in the report. So it is, you do not have to fill out the same report twice, effectively, as you had previously done with the junior fair affidavit and the junior fair report. Also, to make the Division of Animal Health's life a little bit easier, we're also asking you to identify the upcoming year's records official. I know that you may not know that at the time, but a lot of fairs do. So there's a spot for that, and we'll go over it, as well as an update to the newspaper/website certification, which we'll go over as well. So what's out? We've got rid of the voided membership ticket, so you don't need to include that. You do not need to include a copy of the voided season ticket. You do no longer have to require a notary for the newspaper and website certification. And as I said before, the duplicate copies of the junior fair report are no longer required to be submitted. Where to find it? So again, this is where the fair's website. Again, if you click on fairs to the left, big blue arrow, number 1, Ag Society annual forms, and then blue arrow number 2, annual financial report. This is a link that will bring you directly to the annual financial report. We try to make things as easy as possible for you guys to access. We've emailed them out, but again, you know, we understand what happens with emails. They can get buried. All of the information that you need to commit to submit your duties for the department are on our website. So when is it due? January 13, 2023 or earlier, please. You can submit it. Obviously, we prefer that the report be submitted via email, but it is due on the Friday of OFMA's convention. So if you want to bring in a paper copy, we will accept it there as well. But we obviously would like it earlier the better. That way we can look it over and let you know if there's any issues. Questions?
Okay.
If you guys aren't muted, I would appreciate that you guys mute your phones or whatever it is.
Thank you.
So please ask questions not only during this presentation, but from now until January 13th. We'd much rather you ask the question now so that we don't have to go through this resubmitting of the report once, twice, or more than that. So please just ask questions. Any questions thus far before I get into the heart of the matter? Easy enough. Okay, so what I've done here is rather than scrolling through the report itself, I've just basically copied and pasted each section of the report into a slide. Some of them are very simple that we'll breeze through. Some of them we will take a little bit more time on. But if you have questions, just let me know. So here we go. So the first section is fair information. Who are you? What fair are you? Fair mailing address, office, this information, your website. Everybody should know this information. So not too complicated here. The annual election information. So when did you have your election? The number of board members that were elected to that board this year, as well as the location and the number of votes cast. This was in the report last year. Nothing's changed. the annual meeting information. A lot of fairs have annual meetings. Some may not call them annual meetings, but it's the meeting in which you either discuss your constitution and bylaws. It could be a variety of meetings, but most of the time they are in the Howard, correct me if I'm wrong, in the fall, during after the elections, and things of that nature.
That's correct.
Okay. So again, attendance, this is the same exact information that was there previously. The one thing that I would point out is that it says the 2022 annual report was approved by the full board. So the full board does have to meet in order to approve this report. It's also required as a signature later on in the document. But again, it's the full board. We've seen situations where it's the executive board, but it should be the full board. If you've made any changes to your constitution and bylaws, please identify that you have, and then make sure that we get a copy. For those of you that have questions on how, constitutional amendments and things of that work, we will be hosting a presentation during the OFMA convention to kind of go over some of those things, best practices, because we see a lot of issues with that, to be frankly honest, but we'd be happy to, it's one of the things that we wanted to help educate people on. And I see no questions. 2022 delegate authorization. So, as I admit, pursuant to rule, each fair is required to authorize someone to represent your ag society at the annual meeting with the director. So this is just an indication of who those delegates are. Howard, do you have any comments on this? I know we've talked about this.
Yes, this meeting will be Friday, January the 13th, in the Regency Ballroom, third floor of the Hyatt facility. You order your meal tickets online with your registration, and that registration ticket will go to the person that you've designated for that meal.
Getting that squared away.
Hey, Ben, can you mute your phone, please? Thank you. And then we will open the doors at approximately 8:45 for balcony seating for those that do not want to purchase the meal. And David, there was a suggestion that you might want to put the date on this so they know when it would be, if that's possible.
Yep.
And again, this morning is sponsored both by the High Department of Agriculture and Cox. Concessions by Cox and Concessions by Cox will be having a door prize drawing for 2 gift certificates to be awarded prior to the director beginning the meeting. That's it, David.
Thanks, Howard. So as of right now, we've got some things that are pretty similar. They have not really changed. They have not really changed. So Judy, you asked a question. So this is not for the Sunday meeting. Judy, help me out here. What are you talking about with regard to that question?
Let me answer that. Judy, this is the Friday morning mandatory meeting for all affairs to attend with the Director of Agriculture. Sunday is the awards breakfast.
Yep. So it's referring to the Friday morning meeting with the director.
Yeah. And the delegate for Sunday for the annual meeting is our document, Ohio Fair Manager's document, which you submit to us with a delegate and the alternate approved by the board and signed by the president, Judy.
Perfect. And Judy, we can talk offline too if you want to talk more about it. Okay. Moving on to kind of the things that have
Engineer's
changed.
office.
If you was that a question?
Whoever's on the iPhone needs to mute their phone, and we don't have a name on it. You can mute through your.
Yeah, I can.
There you go.
All right. moving to the things that have changed for this year. The 2022 abstract publication. So what this means is that this is a part of the publication where it indicates that you have put on either, you have two options in a newspaper or your society's website, a statement indicating that this annual financial report has been filed in accordance with the particular revised code, as well as any individual who's looking for this may contact the treasurer of the society and that contact information for how that person may wish to obtain their report. What's changed this year is, again, we made it, last year it was easier because you could either choose a newspaper or your society's website. Obviously, newspapers cost money. Your society's website does not. So what we would recommend here is that you post it on your society's website. It is a requirement that you post it for 2 weeks. We certainly recommend that you post it for significantly longer than just 2 weeks. The longer, the better. And frankly, if you want to keep it up there all year, that would make sense as well. So not only should you, as again, a best recommendation, best practice, post your statement online, but also just go ahead and post your annual financial report online as well as a downloadable file. That way it saves you time and energy for fulfilling all these requests. And it's just good practice. You know, we are talking about public dollars. You are a public entity. Transparency is a good thing. So those are not requirements, but certainly best practices. We would certainly recommend that you do that. Oh, what am I doing here? Other pieces of note. So previously you had to have this signature notarized. You do not have to have that notarized this year. All these changes here today should make a significant number of fairs' lives easier, because this was something that held up a significant number of fairs last year in terms of redoing the reports. One thing that I will also state is your Facebook page is not your society's website. That social media account is not your society's website. There is a separate website. We certainly recommend that you post it on your society's Facebook page, but it needs to be on your website as well. So a lot of changes here that should just make things a lot easier. All you have to do here is just sign and indicate your name, and you will meet that requirement so long as you attest that you have met the requirement. Any questions here? I see there's some questions in the chat. Oh, Aaron has posted the link to our website on our fairs page is in the chat as well for somebody if you want to take a look as we're talking. All right, moving on. 2022 board membership information. Please note that this is for 2022. These are the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and the directors that served this past year. It is not future looking, it is back looking. This annual financial report, for the vast majority of it, is backwards looking. So this is the information for the boards and the officers and the director that served during the 2022 reporting period. It's virtually the exact same as last year: name, address, city, zip code. There are plenty of lines for all the extra directors that you may have. Again, nothing's really changed on this front. This is a new thing. This is 2023 records official. These are for the person who is responsible for the animal health forms that go to the Division of Animal Health and work with Cindy Bodie. Just trying to get her as much information earlier if possible. That makes her life a little bit easier. If you don't know it at this time, that's fine. We'll figure it out. But just trying to make things a little bit easier and do a little homework up front. This 2023 officer information. This is forward-looking information. So again, 2023 officer information, not 2022 officer information. This is the information that we will use to contact you throughout the 2023 fair season. It has spaces for president, vice, all the officers. Please provide a unique email for all individuals. So that means please provide the president's email, please provide the vice president's email. We have seen too many times where the only email that is listed is the generic inbox email, and that is where emails go to die. So please give us all of the officers' emails information. All we're trying to do is make sure that the information that we need to provide you gets to the appropriate people. I can't stress this enough. We've seen too many times already throughout this fall season where we've sent out emails about the new reporting, and we've got a ton of questions about where do I submit the junior financial report? Well, the emails indicated that you don't have to submit the junior financial report. So please just provide unique individual emails for all of the individuals so that we can ensure that you have the appropriate information and you can make the decisions timely that you need to make. And it's the same form as last year, just please give us those unique individual emails. I would also add, if things change throughout the year, so if the vice president resigns or the fair secretary changes or whatnot, shoot us over an email saying, hey, due to extenuating circumstances, this person stepped down or whatnot, and these are the new people that are in charge. I would also say that if you have directors that change, we'll take that information as well and we'll make a note of it. So communication is key. I'm just going to steal Paul's line. Communication is very important. Please just keep us up to date with what's going on with your fair. This is, again, just a part of the 2023 officer information. I know some of you have fair managers that may or may not be the secretary. If it's different, please give us their information as well. This is the 2022 junior fair reporting, and backward looking. The information provided here in this annual financial report is the exact same as was before, but I just wanted to highlight some things. So again, you have market livestock and poultry exhibits. You just put the number of exhibits, and then at the bottom is a subtotal. That subtotal is information number A. So if there's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and it adds up to 100, you put a 100 here. Non-market livestock and poultry, same exact thing. You put 100 here if it adds up to that. And then the number of other junior fair individual and group exhibits is C over here. Say there's 200. The total number of junior fair individual and group exhibits is A plus B plus C. It's just math. So we saw a lot of errors here last year, but I just try to call out the fact that it's the subtotal of all these exhibits plus the subtotal of all these exhibits plus this number here is the total number of junior fair and individual projects. The junior fair affidavit, nothing's changed here. It's just included in the annual financial report. We did add more information to this report, to this page of the annual report to try to make things a lot easier for people to understand. This was the number one thing that we saw issues with last year. This dollar amount that you will put in is what we base the junior fair premiums from the Ohio from one of the funds that we send out. This is what we base your reimbursement on. They have to meet certain criteria in order to qualify as a junior fair premium, and we list that here. So it's money paid by a society as awards to individual members or groups of members for which the society provides awards in its annual premium list. The money spent on ribbons, banners, medals, achievements, trophies, and such to those members, and money expended by a society for trips awarded to junior org members or to leaders of such junior organizations. Where you can find that information, that number, which should be accurate, is listed on row 9320 of the auditor's report. It is right here labeled premium ribbons and trophies. That line should equal the line that's required in the report. So just trying to call that out as easy as possible. Howard, any thoughts or questions on that?
No, you pretty much nailed that one right on the head.
And I don't know if we saw a lot of crazy numbers in here.
Yeah.
Well, I think last year we saw one that said $1.7 million, which I don't believe is accurate. Saw a few crazy numbers. So just trying to call it out and educate this with folks, because again, this is the number one error that we saw in the annual financial reports last year. So that amount here in this 9320 number will be placed here in the junior fair affidavit. You fill out the information. So County of Licking, personally appear David Myron and Aaron Dillon, being sworn by the president as the president and secretary of Licking County. And you put in the highlighted number there, and you have the president and secretary sign it, and it is required to be notarized. So don't sign it. Don't sign this in advance. Sign it in the presence of a notary. So the notary won't stamp it if you sign it in advance. But just wanted to provide that information to you guys. Any questions on the junior fair affidavit? How is the reimbursement calculated? That's a great question. So effectively what it is that we get all of the fairs, junior fair premiums. We put that into a formula that we have, and it spits out a number at the end. But how it works is we have a pot of money that is distributed to us by the General Assembly, and it's a finite amount. I'm just going to make it up for easy math. We'll say it's $100,000. It's more than that, but it's $100,000. What we do then is we list all of the every single fair. If you spent money on premiums, we put it in, we write it down in an Excel document. You are only eligible to receive premiums up to the amount of which you've spent. So if you spent only $1, you're only getting $1 back. If you've spent $10,000, the maximum that you can get is $10,000. However, what we do is we distribute it equally. So there's an average amount, and say it's $3,000 is 100. Well, if it's $94,000 that we have in the bank and there's 94 fairs, we do an average. So it would be $1,000. We give everyone $1,000. Now, if fairs have not spent $1,000, say a fair spent $1, we would take that $999 out, and then we would distribute that, whatever's left over, to the fairs that have spent more than $1,000. It's kind of just like we just keep going down the line until all of the funds have been equally distributed and no fair has received more than they have actually spent on junior fair premiums.
David, may I put an insert in here?
Yep.
Fairs, this item in the General Assembly budget has been the same amount for years and years and years. And you're talking to your representatives and your senators as they visit your fairs, this really supports your junior fair. Really is what we're all about, is ensuring that we provide the showplace for youth. But I would encourage them to try to bump this number up. You've got leadership in the House and the Senate both. Don Jones in the House from down Caddis Way represents several counties, if not more, down in that area. This number really needs to be bumped up. So when you're talking to your legislators and communicating with them, this is a good item to talk about supporting your youth. Thank you, David.
Yeah, and to add on to that, now is the time. Right now, because right now the fiscal year 2024 and 2025 annual operating budget is being discussed. That budget sets how much the junior fair premiums amount is going to be for the next 2 years. So not the 2020, not this year's, but the next 2 years is what is being decided now. Obviously, it's going to takes another 8 months to get passed. But those discussions are happening now. So I believe the amount, Howard, is like 376,000, something like that.
Yes.
But if it's not changed now, it's not going to be changed until effectively 2026 at the earliest. So this is something to have your conversations with the General Assembly about now, so that you guys can get more funds to encourage your junior fair, to award the people who are doing what the fairs are all about. A part of it is the junior fair exhibitors.
Thank you, David.
Yep. Okay. 2022 horse racing. Nothing has changed. Well, actually, I lied. A little has changed. We've added a line item here for VLT funds that was requested by several fairs. So you would include that VLT fund line in there. Something that I'm admittedly a little bit, I don't have much experience in, because we don't have, outside of this, we don't deal with horse racing as much, but that line is in there for you to, excuse me, properly account for the subtotals. One thing that I would add is that if you received funds for harness racing in any particular year, and for whatever reason, all of your horse racing has been canceled, or a portion of your horse racing is canceled, we are required to receive those, that we are required to collect on the stakes purses back. So we're not going to ask for the general stake back, which all 94 fairs receive, and we're not going to ask for the improvements to the track money back, but for the stakes races themselves, we will require that amount back. And last year was about a little more than $6,000 on stakes races that we will need to receive back. We have received one check from a fair that we'll have to reach out and have a conversation with, but it was not the proper amount. And frankly, we'll be emailing some there's a handful of fairs that did not have racing this year due to weather related conditions. But yeah, so please note that money is specifically for stakes purses. And if you don't have those races, then we will need to recall that money back. Question was asked, do you leave this form blank if you did not have harness racing at your fair? Great question. The answer is yes. You can leave it blank. You could even put in the top of the top line here, just said like no racing or something of that nature. But yeah, you leave it blank. It's a great question. I've skipped over one section of the report because it's pretty important, but I will these are the outside of what I've skipped. These are the last two things. Treasurer verification, basically just from your treasurer, notarized statement indicating that the report is a true and accurate statement. And then society approval, again, that this report has been approved by the full society, by the meeting of the directors. And I just noticed that there's a 2021 in there, so I will update that, even though it doesn't matter how many times you go over it, you find something. But that is it for the general forms. What we saw last year as well is that a large number of fairs did not complete their auditor's financial sheet. This is the meat of the actual financial aspect of it. So several years ago, ODA, OFMA, and the Auditor of State worked on a spreadsheet that would ease the reporting process. Howard, I believe that this report mirrors the Henkel report.
Yes.
And so this should make your lives significantly easier. The spreadsheet should be found on our website here. Can you see the ODA website?
Yes.
Okay. It's down here, Agricultural Society Financial Statement, and you can easily download it. And it downloads as an Excel file that I will bring up.
Good morning, Ryan.
And It's all here. Here's the report master.
Crazy as that may be.
And you fill in this information, and it's everything that you guys do. Aaron put the link in the chat. It's everything that you guys do on an annual basis you put in here. One thing that we saw last year with doing this fund, and I'll try to zoom in. You can change these years. You can edit this heading to so for the years ending in November 30th, CY is current year. So you would do 2022, and then PY is past years. So you would do 2021. You basically just import the information from last year into this column. I say last year's in 2021. And then this is 2022 is what you're reporting on this year. Operating fund and state and local fund. So if we've given you money, if the state or the locals have given you money and you've used that for X, Y, and Z, that money is supposed to be input on this column. All other funds or receipts or expenditures are on this fund here, on this line here. There's been many very in-depth conversations, and I know it's on the OFMA YouTube page about how to go about and filling out this report. I know that Bev Fisher has done a tremendous job on this, and Bev just joined the chat. I think I said Bev's name and she joins us. So
Like magic.
it was like magic. So I don't necessarily have to do anything in great detail here, but this is required. We cannot approve your report until this report has been filed and included with it. On the application, it's on the annual report itself. There is a checkbox saying, yes, it's included. So it's a reminder to you that, yes, I have to submit this form.
David, let me interject here.
Yep.
Here, Teresa, can you take this? In regard to an annual society or a society who had to adjust their 22 or 21 totals, you should have filed an addendum or an amended return to ODA. If you did not, then you've got probably some explaining to do because these totals aren't going to match up. So, and I know there's at least one fair that had to go back after the audit and adjust their 21 year ending. So David, you might want to explain how you would handle that.
Yeah. So if there is a change to this, for whatever reason, again, just communicate with us. Send us an updated form. We can take a look. Now, if for example, if some things have been impacted and funds have already been sent out, that we really can't recall those funds, that would change your information. But please just send us a new copy and we will update it and we will review and approve it on the amended copy.
And I'd suggest you send David the audit report from the state auditor's office that explained where the deltas were that got changed. That way it makes his life a lot easier to figure out just where they are.
Right. Any particular question? Bev, since you joined us, do you have any things that you want to kind of highlight here on this the auditor's document?
No, I apologize for being late, but I'm just kind of paying attention.
Works for me. Why? So one thing that I want to bring up is, why is submitting this annual financial report important? Number one, it's required, so that's an easy one. But number two is, until we get a completed report, everything is good to go, we check off all the boxes, we cannot send you a certificate indicating that your county ag society has complied with all of Ohio's laws and rules. And that certificate is important because that is what gets you from your county treasurer or your county board of the Board of County Commissioners funds that you're owed by state law. So the sooner that you submit all these documentation and we review it and approve it, the sooner you will get your certificate in which you can present to your Board of County Commissioners. Guys, it's effectively free money. You do what you're required to, you then submit that over to your Board of County Commissioners, and they are legally required to remit money to your ag society.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
would it be worthwhile to show folks, because those vouchers have changed,
Yeah.
what they look like? And we've gotten a lot of questions since
Yeah.
they've changed. Just pull up a copy of what they look like nowadays.
Help me find one, Aaron, faster than me. Is it in 2022?
I'll take a look for it, and you can keep going. I'll keep looking for it.
Does anyone have any questions in the meantime? Will they be reviewed? That's a great question, Ellen. It just depends on a variety of things, but we can certainly review it. And then if you're compliant, we can kind of issue one out. Especially if you want that sooner rather than later. The question was, and forgive me, was, will they be reviewed and your certificate sent in the order you get them, or will you wait until January 13th?
Immediately, and I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what.
Is this recording going to be able to be viewed again elsewhere? If not, would you be able to send me the recording of this meeting so that I can refer to back later? It will be reviewed, or I'm sorry, it is being recorded and it will be posted online. Howard, are you going to post it on OFMA's YouTube?
Yes, I'm going to post it on ours, as well as I'm going to send you the link.
Beautiful. Any other questions? Howard, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm going to go to a little advertisement here. Reminder that the Hall of Fame, the Ohio Affairs Hall of Fame nominations are due in here at the end of the month, and the communication awards, and we are getting some really good stuff this year, are due here, I think by the 25th or 26th. But again, those are emailed to OFMA form at att.net, or just send them to Ohio Affairs. We'll get them over there into that bin. But again, we're getting some really good communication awards. The video and audio files, those are the easiest things. And we did change some categories back from the fairs. So more the merrier to promote yourself and to promote your fair. That's it, David.
Thank you, Ellen, as well. Thank you, Howard. With that being said, what we'll do is we'll send out Aaron, were you able to find it?
Yeah, I just emailed them. Did you get them?
Hold on. So just bringing this up, instead of the half sheet of paper, the certificate is basically a letter. It's addressed directly to the auditor. Here is Adams County. It indicates, it says the exact same thing, but it's just a letter instead of a half sheet of paper. Breaks down the information as well. The important part here is, let me zoom in, sorry. They are entitled to receive a transfer amount of $1,600 drawn on the county treasurer. There's two letters, one for the county auditor and then one for the county commissioners, because they are different amounts. Any questions on that, guys? Please reach out to us if you have any questions. We are here for that. We can much rather ask questions in advance. With that being said, if no one has any questions, that's all I have, Howard.